Hey everyone, we are talking about taking advantage of the holidays, and I am redoing this webinar because we did this webinar Sunday night and the recording file got corrupted or something happened to it, so we don't have it available. So this is not the original webinar that was recorded on Sunday, the 28th, but it will hopefully be pretty good because I will try to say much of the same information that was originally said in the first one. So it might be a little bit quicker than it was, but I'll even try to talk about some of the questions that were asked during the webinar. We had 50 or 60 people joining us live and asking some really good questions. So I will try my best to remember some of those questions and answer those as we go along. Something that Andy said in the intro of the original webinar that we did was that when he goes to conferences, and Andy attends quite a few conferences each year, he talks to a lot of sellers and he thinks, some of these are really big sellers. He thinks only 1 or 2% of them say that they actually bundle consistently. So bundling is going to be one of the main topics we're talking about here because we do think that bundling, there's opportunities in bundling and taking advantage of the holidays, especially when it relates to the holidays. So we're going to be talking about that in what's so good then about 1 or 2% of sellers probably only taking advantage of bundles is that the competition isn't as fierce as some of the other, especially retail listings we're seeing out there. It really can give you a way to beat out the competition. So we'll take a look here. This is called, how you can boost your Amazon sales by taking advantage of the holidays. And we'll just look at ways why you might want to at least consider taking advantage of some of the things we'll talk about during the holidays. So why should you pay attention to the holidays? Well, during the holidays, there are arbitrage opportunities that open up that aren't always available every other time of the year. So what we mean by arbitrage opportunities are, there's times where you can buy products for low and sell them for more on Amazon, basically. And the main reason why these opportunities open up is because people want their products and they want them right away. And when people want things quickly, they go and shop on Amazon. So the 2-day Prime shipping just brings late shopping customers or customers that wait till the last minute. It really attracts those people. So as we'll take a look as we get a little further into this, a lot of times the best sales days for holidays is just a week before the actual holiday or within that last week leading up to it, just because that's when people don't want to run out to the store or the items aren't available at the store anymore, and so they shop on Amazon. So arbitrage opportunities open up. You can find things for low and sell them for more on Amazon. And I like to think of it, and I tell other people to think of the holidays throughout the year as a mini Q4. So we're not talking about Christmas here or, during Q4. We're talking about the rest of the year. And we like to say, think of the holidays as a mini Q4. And just think of it as a way that you can boost your sales outside of Q4, because we know a lot of people who live for Q4. Q4 is where it's at. And Andy mentioned this in the original webinar intro as well. He said he knows quite a few sellers who basically coast from holiday to holiday throughout the year, and that's where they get 75% of their sales is just on each holiday. So they might, there's probably 5 or 6 main holidays people are looking at, but they might go right from Christmas to Valentine's Day, from Valentine's Day to Easter, from Easter to Mother's Day, and Halloween and St. Patrick's Day, anything else that's in there. But they're basically, once they reach a holiday, and by the time it's the holiday, they're already looking on to the next one. But they kind of coast from one holiday to another, and you can do that. And the reason is because it's kind of like a mini Q4, and that's why I like people to think of it that way. And as we'll see here, it's nowhere near the sales volume, but not as many sellers are taking advantage of these alternate holidays as well. So you can help this. You can use the holidays to help you get motivated over a sales slump. So I know for myself personally, a lot of times I can kind of get discouraged, especially this time of the year, like, end of February, early March. You're kind of like sales, especially in January, February, like sales aren't as good as they were back in December, November time. Everything was flying out of there super fast. I was, everything was selling, and now you kind of get a little discouraged. But if you take advantage of these holidays, it can help to motivate you and get you over a sales slump. So I know in the past, I've taken advantage of a couple of holidays, and when I do that, it takes a little work getting up to it, but I really see a boost. That one, it motivates me, and two, it obviously is nice to get that sales boost and to make money on it, and it kind of propels you going forward through the rest of the year. You kind of get that idea of, almost like a boost of confidence because of those holidays. And I know I've done that in the past, especially with Easter. I have an example coming up of some Easter bundles I put together that really boosted my sales for April that year, and it just kind of kept me motivated throughout the rest of the year then. So I think that's another advantage of paying attention to the holidays and utilizing them. And then also I fourthly put down here that if you have time and you have, the resources, some money, but you don't feel like you can find the inventory. So finding inventory is your problem. You have time, you have money, but you can't find anything. You're like, I'm going out, I'm scanning everything. I just can't find anything. I've had a couple people PM me lately and say, I've been scanning stuff all over the stores and I can't find anything. So if that's you, I think that you should take advantage of the holiday, because what you can do is you can put a little time, creativity, and effort into making some listings and bundles, as we'll take a look at here. And you don't have to find anything. You can make it yourself, and you can make your own sales. So that's what I think. If you don't have time and if you don't have time and you're finding inventory perfectly fine, what you're currently doing, then you might be fine. This might not be exactly for you, but I think that everyone can get something out of the holidays, can get some kind of motivation and some kind of benefit from it. All right, so here's a real example of a product that back in January, if you were part of the Slamazon Bros group back then, you would possibly have seen me post, or Andy, I can't remember which one, posted this in the group. So this was back in January, and we were looking back at 2015 February, and we were just commenting about how well this bundle was doing. So back in 2015, this bundle had done really well. It gotten somewhere like in the top 100 rank in toys. It's pretty simple. So if we look here, these all appear to be like $0.50 to $1 type items. Probably can get them from a wholesale or a dollar store type thing, pretty cheap. And something that we noticed about this actual bundle is that it doesn't even include all the items that are pictured here, I don't believe. So it's something the customer has to pay attention there. It's probably, not really up to the terms of service. But they have a decent picture. It's kind of appealing because it looks like quite a bit's there, even if it's not all, even if not everything even comes with the bundle. But it's pretty simple bundle. And so we mentioned this back in January. And then taking a look now just recently this week, back at this year's sales for this bundle. So this person actually got down to rank 15 in toys right before Valentine's Day. So anyone that's a toy seller or sells in the toy category, that rank 15 is pretty amazing to be, the only seller on the listing. So I don't even know how many sales that is per day. No one can say for sure except for that seller maybe. But that's got to be, I'm imagining they're selling a couple of hundred within that, within January 30th to until Valentine's Day, basically. It looks like they're selling quite a few. And it looks like even after that time, they kept selling it even after Valentine's Day. So it looks like people continued to buy on this listing. So this is an example, though, of the type of bundle that can do really well. Now, if you came out with something just this year, you might not, you probably can't expect to do just as good as they did. If we look down here, we can see that this listing has been on Amazon for, looks like, over 2 years now. So it has 64 reviews on it, and it's been building momentum year after year, basically. So you can't necessarily kind of come flying in and expect to do just as good as this listing. But you don't have to be ranked 15 in toys to do super good. And we can see that they even went in and out of stock here right during the end of Valentine's Day, which is good for them probably. You want to be going around this time out of stock if you can, so you don't have a bunch of products left over. But this is a listing that's probably been building momentum. Like I said, they've been doing better and better each year. So what you can do is you can set up a bundle like this, and you want to do good, but think of it even that a year from now you can put together the same bundle, and hopefully it'll have a couple product reviews on it. It'll have some momentum. going, and it doesn't have to necessarily be just a short-term commitment or investment. It can be a long-term investment as far as the listing goes. And then here's a little bit of a strategy I said the other night is, think of bundling a lot of times like similar to private label in a lot of ways. So if you made a cool bundle like this, and I'll say this is a cool bundle. I mean, it's not the best bundle. There's definitely better bundles out there than this one, but it's decent. And what you could do is you can give away even just 1, 2, 3, a couple couple of these bundles to friends or family through promotional codes, and you want to set those up the right way. You can ask us in the group if you need help with that. But you can give away a couple of those at a discount and ask for an honest review from those people about what they feel the quality and worth of the bundle is. But if you do that, just getting a couple reviews will just shoot you up in the search rank tremendously. So you might go from like page 20 on search all the way to page 2 or 3, depending on your keywords and the niche that you're in. But you can really shoot up even with just a couple reviews. It makes a big difference. So there's a little example there of a Valentine's item that killed it this year. I mean, they had to sell many, many products. And like I said, all these products together are cheap items. I don't know exactly how much they paid, but I'm thinking it's less than $10 for these items to put together in a bundle. So they might be able to get it to the warehouse for $10. I don't know exactly, but if they're selling them for $25 to $30 to $35 at this volume, they're making pretty good money, is my guess. All right, here's an example of a bundle that I actually put together. So this is an Easter bundle that I put together. You can see the picture quality is not very good. It was blurry. I took these with my iPhone. iPhone 4S or 5, I can't remember which one, but they're not the very good pictures is the point. I photoshopped them a little bit, but not even that good. You can see they're, it's just not that great. So I could have done better, but they still did really well for me. So I got all these items at the Dollar Tree. So they're all 50 cents to $1. I think somewhere like 2 for $1. And you can see here that it's pretty simple. I basically just took these baskets. I shoved these items in there, had some of the like Easter grass in there as well. I actually had my wife's mom help me put them together. She's more creative than I am. So that's another strategy you can do. Partner up with someone to create bundles or listings. Someone who finances it, someone who's creative, something like that. It can make the project a little easier, a little more fun. You kind of give a little accountability to each other because I know a lot of times for me, I say I'm going to do a bundle, but then I just don't. But if you go in on it with someone else, you're almost like accountable to each other. So that might be helpful. But yeah, I kind of got sidetracked there. Sorry. So this is an Easter bundle that I did. This one costs, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like $8 for this bundle here. It wasn't very expensive. These ones was a different listing, so different variations here. These ones were a little bit bigger, so these cost $10 to $12, I think. But I was selling these ones here for $35, I believe, and these for $40 to $45. I actually increased my price at the end because I was selling out, and I sold out like a week before Easter, actually. So that Easter is on Sunday, obviously, and it was, I think, Monday I was sold out by. And, in hindsight, I was wishing I would have raised the price even more. I was wishing I would have bought more of them. All together with all these baskets, I had a blue one that looked like this as well. But with all these baskets, I had like 50 to 60 total units. So not a ton, kind of was testing the waters. It was still a decent investment, but not a ton. It could have went more. And again, in hindsight, I wish I would have done more because they made really good money. I think the profit on them was $800 to $1,000, somewhere around there was the profit actually. So it was really good. They were relatively simple to put together. The listing was easy to put together. The pictures, again, because I didn't put too much quality work into them, really weren't that hard. And they're just Dollar Tree items, and went to a couple different Dollar Trees to get them. And then I have this question a lot about people I've told about the bundles. How did I actually get them to the warehouse? So we just put them in these baskets, and then I just took a plastic, big plastic poly bag, and put it around the basket, kind of twisted at the top so everything was tight and snug in there, and then tied it with a ribbon at the top. So it wasn't anything extreme. I have a lot of people say like, oh, there's no way to get the bundle to Amazon good without getting messed up. I sent them all. None of them had any issues. Didn't get any complaints from customers saying, like all the items were jumbled all over the place. So, maybe UPS was more careful with my items that time when they were going to Amazon warehouse, but they appeared to, work out pretty well that way. I packaged them nicely and snugly in some boxes, so that helped as well. Of course, you want to always make sure you're packaging stuff nicely, but it really wasn't too much trouble. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of the type of thing that you could do. I did that and it worked out well. And as a side note, real quick, I'm going to go back. Another thing I did here and a strategy you can use is just to do the, advertising on Amazon. So the CPC, the cost per click advertising with Amazon. I did this for here and I didn't spend much. It was like $5 to $10 I was spending. My bid wasn't very much total. And it might have been $15 to $20 total spent advertising during that time. But I took that out of the profit. So when I'm saying that total profit included that advertising. And so that helped get the items ranked up a little bit too. So if you give away just a couple products to get some reviews and then use advertising, you really should have some visibility to customers. So here's a little look of, a strategy of taking advantage of the holidays is really what it is. And this is holiday spending in billions. So we got big numbers here from 2013 to 14. And of course, we can see winter holidays here. So Christmas, Hanukkah, other winter holidays, of course, is the biggest by far. And everyone knows retail Q4 is where it's at. But there's, that's not the only time. You can still we know stuff sells all year round. And so during these other times, there's still stuff selling. One thing I was surprised about was how big back to school or back to college is. I wasn't expecting it to be that much more than some of these other ones. So that was surprising, and that's kind of encouraging because I think there's a lot of good opportunities for back to school, and we still have plenty of time for that. After that, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Easter, some of the next. I'm not sure how many people do Super Bowl. I did mention the other night that I have seen a couple creative Super Bowl like bundles or private labels type items that probably do really well because there's just not that much in the niche, and they kind of own that niche. But those are some holidays to be looking forward to. These are kind of like the big holidays, so we're going to look at, there's tons of other holidays, but these are kind of like the big spending ones. So going back to the arbitrage opportunities, cards, like Valentine's cards, I've done really well in the past. Too late for that, obviously, but there's still, Mother's Day cards and other things that you could possibly sometimes have arbitrage opportunities involved. Candy, we had people in the webinar talk about how they, source candy to sell. I've bought candy before and I've bought candy on clearance after, 75, 90% off. Sometimes you can get the candy. You have to make sure you're checking for expiration dates if you're going to do that. But if you're approved for candy, which you have to be approved in the grocery category, and I'll touch on that in a minute as well, that can be something that's really does really well. I've bought candy on discount afterwards that's sold for months after the holiday, because some people like those seasonal candy that only is produced right around the holiday, and they kind of will like pay extreme amounts just to get their Peeps or whatever it is throughout the year. And Peeps aren't, Peeps kind of tank sometimes, but there's other kind of seasonal candy out there that does really well throughout the year. And yeah, just pay attention to expiration dates. So here's another example of based on going off that again, example. So like after Valentine's Day, if you could pick up this Dove assorted chocolate 8 ounce for cheap, I'm guessing if you could get that 75% off plus at some stores here, it's still selling for $21.99, and it appears to have a good rank. Throughout almost the whole last year, it had a good rank. Up until May, June time, it was within 25,000 in grocery, and then after that, it went way up. But the price went way up, and it went out of stock as well. Like the listing had nothing on it. Of course, I say here that if you're gonna send chocolate into Amazon FBA, chocolate is not. There's no meltables between April 30th and September 30th, so you can't sell. You have to either sell your chocolate before then, or it gets sent back or destroyed or whatever. But so you have to make sure that you're merchant fulfilling meltables if it's going to be during that time. But that's just an example, the type of thing that you can buy on clearance afterwards. Most people know that and take advantage. Not all listings do well. Some of the listings tank, so you have to kind of be careful there. So we know lots of people aren't approved for grocery right now, so that's kind of frustrating. These last couple bundles I've been talking about are grocery items. So if you're not approved for grocery, I just wanted to give an example here. There are other things you can do for holidays not involving groceries. I know groceries get a lot of the good ones, but there are a couple other ones. Here's a example that I looked at. Now, this is from a little bit bigger company that might be driving traffic from outside Amazon to Amazon, but still, it's a good example. It's simple. It's just a little basket, bunny and duck, says my first Easter on it. It's selling for $25, and it's sold for years on Amazon, and it just, we'll take a look here. It does really awesome. And again, this might be, not typical of bundles and this type of thing because it's a bigger company, but hopefully it'll give you an idea of the type of thing that you can do. So we can see that last year, 2015, this item peaked on March 30th at a rank of 50 in toys. So that's super good again in toys. It's been on Amazon for many years though, so we know it has reviews. It's kind of established. It's going to be doing better than you possibly can do just starting off this year. But I think it's a good look. And Easter is coming up real soon here, so if you're going to get anything into Amazon, we're kind of getting to too late here. Easter's just so early this year. But there still is time to send a couple things in to Amazon. And definitely just hopefully this will help you get thinking about holidays and other things throughout the year. But I kind of did a little case study here, and I talked about it in the webinar. Just looking at last year, Easter 2015, Easter was on April 5th, so that was Easter Sunday. And so what I was asking myself was last year, taking a look at this listing, when was the peak sales day or peak rank for this listing last year? And what I wanted to know is how much time before Easter do you have is like going to be your peak sales time. So last year, March 30th which was the Monday before Easter Sunday. So you had Monday and that whole week. Monday was the best sales day. That's when it reached rank 50. And I think it stayed like within 100, 200 for the rest of the week still. But so that was kind of a little study, like when was the best peak day? Because then I'm thinking, when's it going to be the best sales day for Easter bundles or these type of items this year? So this year, Easter is early. It is on March 27th, the Sunday. So the Monday before that is going to be March 21st. So we can, ask ourselves or maybe reasonably conclude that Monday, March 21st, is going to be the best sales day for this item again. But we can see ever since January that the rank has been improving. Now it's in the top 1,000 or 2,000, and we're only at the end of February here. So this, some of these shoppers who plan ahead and been getting gifts for their kids or grandkids, nephew, niece, whatever it is, they've been planning ahead. But we can see this listing's been doing well now for a couple months already, and is not even to its peak season. So we talked about this. Andy and I both know private label sellers who literally private label items that are based around holidays or specific times of the year. Now you have to be careful with that, of course, because you don't want to have, an item that only sells one time a year and put all your eggs in one basket necessarily. But if you plan it out right and you get a quantity that's not, either you're going to sell a ton of it or just not too much quantity if you get stuck with some of it, then you can basically plan for a one time a year, especially if you're, people do that with Q4 all the time, Christmas time, have a private label item that basically just sells in November, December, but they make so much off it that it's worth it. And you can do the same thing for other holidays as well, like this listing we're looking at here. So this is another example of something that's done well. You can do even a listing like this, even if you're not approved in grocery. And again, you might not do as good as this one is, but hopefully this will get you thinking about the type of thing that you can do even if you can't sell grocery items. All right, so here's another example of a bundle, and this one anyone can sell. It's back to school bundle. And so this particular bundle, which is pretty simple, the picture isn't very good, and all these items, again, look like dollars type items or even cheaper. I don't know exactly what this person spent, but man, these items don't look very expensive. I would imagine that they are all 50 cents to $1 type items. So I would think you could put this bundle together for $10 to $12 of a buy cost, maybe under $10, or get it to Amazon around that price. So I think it's pretty cheap looking bundle, but it reached a rank of 19,000 in toys last August. It was selling for $40 to $50, and I don't know exactly what the price was the whole time because it looks like they were merchant fulfilling, or they currently are, and might have been last year most of the time too. But August was definitely the peak month, so August is your back to school month. And if you're new to Amazon, you might not know that a lot of people kind of complain or say that the summertime is kind of slow for Amazon sales. So here's one way that you can take advantage of, a bundle or it's not really a holiday, but back to school shopping by doing a bundle like this. And this is simple. I mean, this does not take too much work to pull this together. And the beauty of it, it's not in a gated category. It could be in toys or, probably is really more like office products, but I think toys, just because it's for kids and stuff, usually is more appealing. But this is, during the webinar, we had a lot of people who were just commenting about how, this is a relatively simple bundle that, doesn't even take too much imagination. You got scissors, pens, highlighter, pencils, paper, notebooks, hand sanitizer. So, I mean, it's really not bad to put together. And, so many people are saying like, man, I don't know, there's so much competition. Creating a bundle, is it going to sell? Not everyone creates a bundle, and the reason is it does take work. It can be a little bit hard. Like we've talked about, you have to create a listing, make pictures, make your bullet points, description, all that. So it does take work, and that's why not everyone does it. I've told myself plenty of times I'm going to do bundles, and I just don't because I get lazy. Other people get lazy. If you take the initiative, if you get motivated, you can make it work. So we'll just take a look at a couple of the holidays coming up. Again, this is like a more detailed look of some of the holidays, and you can just type in the Google, U.S. holidays, and this will come up, or something like it. So this isn't all the holidays, but there's other ones on there, Pentecost and Passover, things like that, or other holidays that you might not necessarily think of, but people celebrate. There's religious holidays throughout the year that certain religions celebrate that you might not personally think of, but things sell during that time, and people purchase items for that throughout the whole year, or specific to that holiday. So check those out. You can print out some kind of calendar, or just be aware. And you want to again be aware a couple months ahead of time. If you're sending things in FBA, you want to ideally have your bundle or your retail items or whatever it is to the Amazon warehouse 2 months ahead of the holiday. Is good. Definitely a month ahead of time if you can, because the month before a holiday is usually the peak time of sales. The week before can be like the real high volume, so don't panic before that. You have to it depends on the market and everything, but getting the items a month ahead of time to the warehouse is ideal. So that was pretty much what we had for the webinar. I might have done it a little bit quicker here because I wasn't interacting with the chat at all or anything. We talked about the JumpStart program. You can still check that out on the website. Registration has closed. Send us an email if you're interested in the JumpStart program. It technically did close last night, so I have to talk to Andy if he's going to let anyone in. We'll see if Andy would be a hardball on it or not. But the JumpStart program, we've had a lot of a good number of people in that already. The mastermind group as well, something I want to touch on briefly here. But the mastermind group involved is open to people outside of the JumpStart program. Check that out in Slamazon Bros. We are offering a special discount to current Slamazon Bros members for the next week. So if you are interested in the mastermind group, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of the discount because it's going to be a really big discount. So after that, the price is going to go up quite a bit. It's a monthly charge, but if you're in the JumpStart program, for those of you that are in it already, you got access to that mastermind group, and there's going to be a lot of great content in there. It's going to be some webinars, advanced expert Amazon interviews, a lot of good communication, bouncing ideas off each other, a lot of support, and then Andy and I directly answering questions. So the mastermind group is going to be really good. We're excited about that. Now, to touch on a couple of questions that people had during the webinar, just want to repeat those for those who weren't able to catch the webinar live. We briefly touched on ungating. So the grocery, health, and personal care and beauty categories are some of the categories that are really difficult now. When Andy and I first started selling, these categories were open basically to everyone. So everyone could sell in them. You didn't even need approval. And we got grandfathered into them if you've sold in the category. So lucky those sellers who have been selling for a while. Then Amazon, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, closed those categories and made them gated. So you had to get approval in order to sell in those categories. And once they did that, almost everyone was able to just use retail receipts that they could get, from big stores like Walmart, Dollar Store, Target, receipts like that to get approved. Well, just within the last 6 months now, Amazon is no longer accepting those, and they've made it quite a bit more difficult. So here's the latest. This is what you want. This is what you have to do basically right now if you want to get approved in these categories. You have to get in touch with a wholesaler. Locals may be a little bit easier. I've heard, and it seems to be, that if you can get in touch with a wholesaler that is a convenience store wholesaler, you might have a little bit more luck. But basically, you have to get set up with a wholesaler. You have to get 3 invoices from those wholesalers, so 3 separate orders. And on each order, you need to order it. It can just be 1 or 2 items, but you have to have at least 10 to 20 at least quantity of each of those items. So if you're doing grocery, maybe you got 10 or maybe you got 20 cans of Pringle on the first invoice, and the next one's 20 bags of Skittles or some kind of candy, just examples like that. And then if you're doing health and personal care, beauty, it would make sense that, you buy something that you could also use yourself, because here's the thing, even if you get those invoices, Amazon is so inconsistent with their process right now that even with those invoices, there's a good chance that you won't get approved. And then someone mentioned in the webinar that they submitted the same invoices multiple times, like 3-4 times, and on the 3rd or 4th time they were approved, even though they didn't change anything and they used the same exact invoices. So there's not a real good rhyme or reason to it. It kind of depends on which representative reviews your case. It doesn't seem, I don't think it matters anymore if you do it at a certain time of the day. It used to seem that if you applied at nighttime, it was easier, but that doesn't seem to matter anymore. It's basically just those invoices from certain vendors that Amazon approves of. Knowing those vendors is the hard part, and then just getting Amazon to actually approve them isn't always a guarantee. So it's difficult. It's frustrating. Many people have been doing it for weeks and weeks and months and still aren't approved. So it's definitely frustrating. And then sometimes you purchase all those items from the invoice with invoices and you don't even get approved, and then you're stuck with all these cans of Pringles or whatever. So that's why you probably want to do, if it's food, something that you're going to use yourself anyways, and just stock up on it. Or if it's beauty or health and personal care, like toothpaste or deodorant, something that you can use anyways. And then make sure, if your beauty and health and personal care are 2 separate categories, so make sure the items you get on those invoices actually apply to the specific category. Some of the items seem like they could go in both, so you have to be careful there. So that was one of the main questions. We had quite a few people talking about, asking about ungating. DVD ungating got asked about. That's basically the same process. You have to get DVDs from a wholesaler that Amazon approves of, and then the important thing is the MSRP of the DVDs. So the manufacturer recommended selling price or whatever has to be over $25 on Amazon. So that's really important. People buy like these DVDs that are selling for $1 or $2 on Amazon. No, you can't do that. You have the MSRP has to be over $25 on Amazon, the listing. So that's the key there. But that's a tough one to get approved in as well. So I'm not saying that's exactly how you do it, because a lot of people do that and it still doesn't work out. It can be frustrating. Other questions. Something Andy said in the webinar was really cool, was in his group. This was interesting. Just a month or 2 ago, he actually offered his course members, he threw it out there. He said he would give a $600 or $700 loan basically out to someone who would make a bundle for Easter. So someone took him up on that offer. It was Nora Anwar. Sorry, Nora, I can't remember how to say your last name. It was Nora who took him up on that offer, and she is making bundles. It's her first time making bundles, so she's real excited, kind of nervous about it. But so Andy basically loaned her those $600. He said, if you don't make your money, if you don't make the $600 back, don't worry about it. You can, Andy will take the losses, and then if she does make that money and more, she'll just give him the loan back interest free though. So Andy offered that out. I thought that was pretty cool. He just offered someone, basically he was offering it to a random person that he selected randomly. I think he did a drawing on it. And so she's working with another person in the group who is a professional photographer and knows how to make good listings. So they're going to make some really good listings. Andy said the bundles look awesome. So that's the type of thing in the mastermind group that we're talking about we're going to do as well. Andy said he doesn't know how many $600 loans he's going to give out, but he said he probably will be giving out loans or things like that. So another reason to get into the mastermind group is you could possibly have some kind of lead or product idea from Andy that he will give you directly. But Andy's just that type of trusting and genuine and nice guy. So that's something that's going to be really cool in the mastermind group and that we're excited about. So that was another thing for like a bundles. That was cool. Other questions I think that were in the webinar were just, a lot of them were about the ungating and about, best way to do bundles. I think I went through that in a little more detail here today. So hopefully that gives you a good look at it. Thanks to everyone who has participated in Slamazon Bros so far, who's been watching our shows and leaves comments on YouTube and likes our Facebook comments. We really appreciate that. That's always great. So thanks to you that have been doing that. It's really supportive to us and encouraging. Thanks for watching this webinar that I put on today. And hopefully you found some value in it. Hopefully it'll get you motivated to take advantage of some holiday opportunities that are coming up. Maybe nothing profound in this video, but if it can get you motivated and get you excited about holidays and getting over some sales slumps, hopefully it will be beneficial for you. And then check out the mastermind group. We are really excited about it, and it's going to be a center of activity and support, and just all around a good environment for sellers. So check that out. If you're in Slamazon Bros in this week from February 29th to March 7th, I think, if you're a current member, you're going to have opportunity for a big discount. So you'll see a post in the group that says, leave a comment that says interested or excited or something on there. And you will have, if we get a certain number, we will give current members a big discount. So check that out. Thanks everyone for listening to me ramble on, and hopefully you found this helpful. And this is the type of webinar and information that's going to be available in the mastermind group going forward. So hopefully you find this helpful. Thanks everyone.